Hello, everybody. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Coach's Corner
Hello,
this
hello,
amazing
hello.
Sunday. Let's tap in a little bit on part three. If you missed the first one, if you missed the second one, make sure you go back and watch that. This is part three of You Were Born Rich. And we are covering chapter one, the very first chapter. And, we're going to do this entire book, but there's so much in here. We were just talking, there's so much in this first chapter alone. And this is such a great topic. They all will be. So yeah, if you missed it, go back and watch that because there's so much value here. And we're down one person. We usually have four. Safe travels and to Alicia, and I know Paul's going to find some props for us in the background. And he's just going to use those to express what we're sharing here. There you go. Lou's
That's
on
my
it
only
already.
prop.
All right. I'm sure you can incorporate that, allow intuition to flow. It'll give you an idea.
Cut those negative thoughts.
Yeah, just watch your hair.
Yeah.
So my name is Jamel Matias. I'm a certified mindset success coach. I'm in the Maryland area. My purpose is to reveal the potential that's already there within you and help guide you to your truest desires. I work with individuals, businesses, business owners, entrepreneurs. It doesn't matter. Long as it's all about believing in the unseen, believing in yourself and believing in that goal. And I help you with that. So I'm excited to pass it along to my awesome colleague, Lou.
Oh, hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. So, my name is Lou Perica, and I am also a certified success mindset coach. And I work with women, strong, capable women who have been helping so many people in their lives. And I help them reconnect with who they are by helping them shift their perspective so they can build lives that are peaceful, purposeful, and prosperous. And I'm going to hand it over to our amazing coach, Paul Wooters.
Thank you, Lou, and thank you, Jamel, and good morning or good afternoon, wherever you are watching this. My name is Paul Wooters. I'm in Burlington, Ontario, Procter Gallagher consultant. I'm an author, adventure traveler, author, and at one time I was doing the positive thinking and setting goals, but the results weren't matching, and that's why I've devoted myself to helping you create the life that you really want and deserve through this amazing transformational program that Bob Proctor has created. And I take individuals and help them achieve their most elusive personal and professional goals. And back to Jamel.
All right, let's dive in, shall we? this this beautiful feast of knowledge that you can utilize, towards your future and towards your life. This is something very serious. I know we share different stories, but if your future isn't serious, you need to reevaluate a few things, right?
Mhm.
Make sure for those that watch, engage with us. Feel free to ask a question here live. You can also drop something in the comments as well. And in the description, if anything speaks to you that we share here, make sure you click on one of our links to set up a call with either of us, either one of us, whoever you gravitate to. So that way we're able to really connect with you and apply this material to your life, right? So it's very important to understand. So just to recap a little bit, because this is part three.
Part three, yeah.
I'm a bit animated today. So we talked about the importance of money, right? Do you think money is important to your life? Do you think so? It dictates your lifestyle, your experiences. Some say even your happiness, but happiness comes from within. It really does, without the money. But it even talked about your groceries, you know, your mortgage, even if you're watching this on your mobile device, did you pay for your mobile device? Do you have to pay for a cell phone bill? Do you have to pay for the Wi-Fi that's connected to? think about it. Like really go down that rabbit hole and look at where money's moving for you and the importance of it. So we hammered home the importance of it. You say, oh, money's not everything. Well, really, it's not everything, but really think about that. So we talked about how money is a servant, right? Money is a servant. You are the master. I always love talking about that. Never let money be the master of you, because that's the reverse where it ends up in pretty much doom and gloom. So money must circulate. We talked
Mm.
about that. I just gave a quick example about you paying your cell phone bill, you purchasing your cell phone bill, Wi-Fi, electricity, propane, gas, whatever, right? So it must circulate. Basically, it needs to move. Even investing, if you're into multiplying your money like that, money is not meant to be taken out of circulation. So to recap as well, I told you if you missed the other two, go back. We talked about prosperity consciousness. Now, that was an exercise, a very powerful exercise that we talked about, basically tapping into spirit and visualization. We talked about to visualize yourself, announcing to certain individuals in a visualization that you're going to become wealthy, right? And how would it feel to have the income that you want? And actually getting clarity on what you want as well. And we also talked about how you may not feel comfortable about money. That was weird.
Yeah.
Did you hear that? Huh. Anyway, people don't feel comfortable about money because they have it, and they have it because they feel comfortable about it. So being comfortable to even talk about money, that's a huge one right there. So the prosperity exercise was really deep. Make sure you watch the previous Sunday to utilize that exercise. We went in great depth on how to do that, and it's very beneficial, especially when you're allowing your current circumstances and your current situation to dictate even how your own thinking process is and your own mindset. So, and then we talked about fear not. One thing you should never do is worry about whether or not you will get the money. See, once you tap into that, then you worry, oh, I got to get it, or I got to keep whatever I have. What does worry bring? More worry, because your focus is on the negative.
Negative goal setting.
Exactly. Good way of putting that. Negative goal setting. So now we're talking about understanding versus memorization. Now, this was like a small section here, but it shared some really good things. And I know where this is going to here. And let me share my screen just to kind of jump right in. We might be able to finish this chapter today. We'll see. Let me see if I can share my screen, and we'll just kind of jump right in there. And I wanted to give a quick recap so everyone is not lost on what we're doing here. So there you go. All right. So you should be able to see. So understanding and memorization. It says here, as you read on through the pages in this book, you will develop an inner increasing awareness of the talents and abilities that lie deep within you. So you should realize that with the proper instruction, you can begin using these undeveloped talents to attract the good that you desire. But let me caution you once again, no amount of reading, here we go. No amount of reading or memorizing will bring you the success you seek. Now, let's just talk about that a little bit. For all the people that, have been studying personal development for years and, really love this material and they desire growth, any of you have some comments about those that study, read, but haven't really produced the results that they want? What do you think the issue may be?
So there's a difference between conceptualizing an idea or a thought and actually experiencing it. And this is why the book is called You Were Born Rich. Now, when a baby comes out, it doesn't mean they have this enormous bank account. What it means is everything that you need is within you. You were born rich because you have the tools and the ability to have a prosperity consciousness. So I think we were talking about this prior to the call, and I've been coining a phrase that I heard someone else use, saying inner standing. There's an inner standing. It's not just the ideas. I'm not just reading books. I am actually studying them. I am internalizing them, and I am taking action. And then I get the results. So now I am experiencing. So it's not just memorizing the words, the concepts. It's actually, again, it's an understanding, putting it into action with action, belief, faith, and then experiencing the results, because all our results is really just a message from the subconscious. Because everything, just because we want something doesn't necessarily mean we get it. We get what, who we think we are, right? What our beliefs are. So this is why just memorizing something in the conscious mind, that's where, when we go back to when we were discussing thinking into results and talking about the conscious mind, that's where all the information is stored. That's where the books are stored. That's where we can remember what we learned, what we read. But it's the actual experiencing it, which is really what matters. Paul.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. And if you think about, and Lou, you mentioned, thinking, we talked about thinking into results. So for anyone that's been following us since back in November, knowing is not enough. And Bob said that knowing is not enough. We get so wrapped up, and I got to know more, I got to read more and memorize it. But it's the application, it's the action that goes with it, with that knowledge. You have to apply it. And it says in this book as well, it's the application. It's the application of that knowledge. It's what you know. You may know, and memorize all types of books, but it's the actual application and putting into action what you know and taking that step. And Lou mentioned a bit about your self-image and about your belief. And sometimes, and this was something that happened to me, I was learning things, and I had to know more, and I had to read more, and I had to really try to understand the material. But then it's putting that into play, putting that in, taking that and putting it into action. And what holds us back is that our own limiting beliefs about ourselves. So even though we have all this knowledge, and as Lou said, it's in our conscious thinking mind, we have all that knowledge, we have all that book knowledge, and it's sitting there on like it's sitting there on a shelf. But I know Jack Canfield named that shelf knowledge. It's sitting on the shelf. It doesn't do anything. It's just like money must be put into circulation. So we have that knowledge. You have knowledge into circulation as well. You have to actually take action. So what stops us? It's our own self-limiting beliefs. I don't believe I could do. Okay, I know this, but that's true for Jamel, or that's true for somebody else, or that's true for him or her. But is it not? It's not true for me. But in this book, it's not just talking about money. It's talking about that wealth of unlimited talents and abilities that we are all blessed with. So as Lou said, you were born rich. So baby is born. It's not like this huge bank account necessarily of money per se, the dollars and cents. It's about this reservoir of talent and abilities that we have, and we just have to apply that. We just have to get believing more about ourselves, because we will never outperform our limiting beliefs. And that's, we create that barrier that we won't cross. So we have to, knowing is not enough. You have to take that and start utilizing it and use it, and you will believe, you'll gain momentum, and then you will start to, it's tough. That first step is always the hardest, because, what if I fail? What if I trip? What if I, what will other people think? Forget about that. You have to take that step, and you will amaze yourself.
Amazing. Amazing. Well shared, both of you. It's the start that stops most people,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I mentioned on many calls, to start in that direction that you want to go, you'll need mentorship. Doing this alone, we can share so many stories. I wanted to learn everything. I still do, but I wasn't applying it, right? It even says here, it is only the understanding and application, understanding first. You can't apply something you don't understand, right? So that's why we're here. You can watch all these videos and get a better understanding. But even working one-on-one, that's a better understanding. It's a higher level, right? And application of the ideas in this book. Not only this book, but this material that will make the difference. That's what makes the difference. And Bob always talks about superior knowledge and inferior results. You can, what do you say? For those that librarians, he said, you think they'll be the richest people in the world. They have all the information 24/7. They're not, right? You have some people that barely finished high school, if that, and they're some of the richest people in the world. Why do you think that? I'll tell you a little secret. It might be something that we're talking about. So, and there's something shared here about in that section, about knowledge. It says, all the knowledge there ever was or ever will be is evenly present in all places at all times. But it took an individual to bring those thought patterns together and form ideas which developed into what we call consciousness before we could begin to benefit from them. Lou has something to share with that.
No, no, because I was walking the beach this morning and I listened to some pretty heavy stuff. I just love it. But as we know, knowledge is only potential power. And I think, oh, whoops, there goes Jamel. And when we, like Jamel was saying, when you think about the cell phone, when you think about the airplane, when you think about the light bulb, when you think about electricity, anything that's ever been invented, those thoughts came from somewhere, but they always existed. It was just waiting for the right person, the right mind to carry that idea out. And let's just take Thomas Edison, because we've all are very familiar with the Thomas Edison. Took him 10,000 tries, but it really was 10,000 examples of what does not work, right? They weren't failures. They were just 10,000 results until he came upon the one that worked. But he was the one that was given that sacred assignment. Say, I'm sure other people thought, oh, wouldn't it be nice if we could just, flick on a switch and a light would come on. But they didn't carry it out. They didn't apply. They didn't take that spiritual assignment, really think about it, internalize, visualize about it, tap into their imagination of what this could be for people, how it would make people's lives easier and better, how it could connect us, right, from one person to another person. All of these things. He's the one that carried it out. So every one of us has something within us, so an idea, a desire, and it's for you to carry out. But just knowing about it, it's just like what Bob talked about, the money sitting in the bear stein. It has no value if it just sits there. That idea must be put into circulation, and you may fall down and you have to get back up, and people may laugh at you, and you just have to tune that out. You get distracted, people pulling at your attention. I need this done. You need to stay focused. But this is what we're talking about. Knowledge just is potential power. You need to put it into circulation. Paul.
Yeah, I love that, Lou. And as the story goes with Edison, he failed 10,000 times, and he said, "I just found 10,000 ways it didn't work."
It didn't work, yeah.
And he wasn't afraid of that. And of all the things, like of all the, all the things that we see around us, all the new innovations and inventions, it didn't just happen. We don't know how many times those Wright brothers crashed a plane before it took off. Two bicycle mechanics fooling around in their backyard, and who knows? They invented the way to fly, but how many times did they fail first? But that was how they learned, right? They took that step and they found ways that didn't work, and they found ways to improve. And any experiment in science that works that way. So, like in this whole chapter here, Bob is saying that prosperity is a natural state for us, and that we have to break free from poverty consciousness. And that doesn't mean just, again, in dollars and cents. We have, richness within, born rich. We're rich in talents, gifts, and abilities. And so if we want to attract something, then we have to get onto that frequency, and we have to start thinking about what we want, not about what we don't want. And the way we align with the things that we want is through thought, belief, and action. So you're thinking about something, you have to have that belief in yourself and then take action on it. And that, that's the starting point. You have to change the way you think. You have to change the way you believe, what you believe about yourself, that paradigm that's in your subconscious. And that could be, and as we've talked about when we went through thinking results, the things that you grew up with, the environment that you're in, those subconscious beliefs that govern your behavior. And we just, now you come across, a book like this, and, you read it, and even if, and it says in here too, even if you have to read it one page at a time to really digest what you're reading. And I know Bob always said that. He said, don't just read a book and put it down. He said, study the book, read it over and over again. And I took that, and I just love that I learned that from him, because I will read a book now, and I won't just read it over, but I might get to a chapter and I'll read that chapter 6 or 7 times. I'll keep going back, and I'll just pick up things that I didn't really see before. And Bob says, it's not that you didn't see it before, really, it's that you're seeing something in yourself that you didn't see before. And it's just that creating that better understanding and a better awareness. It's so invaluable. It's so invaluable. It really helps you unlock, the riches that you have in yourself when you really start to understand, or as Lou said, understand those things that about yourself, and not be governed by what you're seeing around you. Jamel.
Wow, I love this. I love it. Even our computers do as well. I heard a chime there. This is so good.
With us. That's
yeah, and thanks for joining us, David. Yes, power is in the action. Yes. What does "you were born rich" really mean? What does that mean? Yes, you were born rich. When you look at the stick person, these are our sensory factors that we have to interact with the world. You can see, hear, smell, taste, and touch. But what don't you see here in these sensory factors? I'll just name one of my favorites: imagination. You were born rich with a beautiful imagination. Especially, when you're young, you're a little baby, you can imagine anything you want. And over time, that mental muscle becomes weak when you don't use it. And, Lou shared about the Wright brothers, Paul as well. And really think about that. When I ran off camera, my daughter's setting up this huge tower of her toys. And they're falling over, but she reshapes it in different ways. So she's utilizing her imagination and her reasoning factor as well. There's 6 intellectual faculties outside of this that can be developed to a very high degree. Imagine the Wright brothers' imagination, right? Despite all opposition, everybody thought they were insane. They thought they were crazy. They were put off, whatever, go over there, do that. And think about every great accomplishment in the world, in history.
Mm-hmm.
Think about the opposition they faced from their own family, their own friends, but they changed the face of this planet as we know to this day. And we tend to utilize these inventions without even really thinking about that. You have that same gift inside you. Your imagination. Everything's created twice, once in the unseen and then in the seen. So as my daughter, his toys are falling all over the place, go to my Facebook story. I just posted one she built yesterday. It's huge. It's like 5 feet tall. And I don't know how she got it to balance. They're just random toys piled up straight in the air. So she's occupying her mind while I'm here on live. So to continue, we are floating in an ocean of thought energy. We're floating in it every day. We have constant energy flowing to us. We're all the knowledge there ever was or ever will be is present in this moment. We are also surrounded by abundance. This is that prosperity mindset, right? Everything's abundant. See, that's why perception is important, because you have to shift your perception rather than lack mindset. You have to focus on the abundance that you're a part of. And the reason why you probably don't think you're part of abundance is because you're allowing your current circumstances and everything else dictate your own mindset. So indeed, everywhere we look in nature, our eyes come in contact with abundance. I'm a nature guy. We were outside yesterday. Look at the trees, look at the birds, look at the animals. They show you the abundance. And even as Paul was mentioning there, the inventions and everything, Thomas Edison, etc. Look at these gadgets, the electronics, the cell phones, the cameras, the microphones, all these different apps and web page, all these updates and all this stuff. Where do you think all that comes from?
Mm-hmm.
The unseen, the imagination that you have, that you were born rich with. But are you using it? You can use it to do anything in your life to impact other people. So it says, everywhere we look in nature, our eyes come in contact with abundance. For nature knows no such thing as failure. Therefore, there never has been and there never will be a lack of anything except conscious awareness. Where's your consciousness? What are you aware of? That really stood out to me, and I forgot I underlined it, but I kind of tied in a few things with it. Anyone want to tag on with that?
I wanted to.
Jamel,
Go ahead, Paul.
Oh yeah, no, I was funny as Jamel. Thank you, Lou. So as Jamel, as you were saying that, I just highlighted that part. It was so good, right? And nature knows no such thing as failure. Therefore, there has never been, never will be a lack of anything except conscious awareness. So it's about thinking, that if there's any lack and limitation that you're experiencing in your life, it's the result of your own wrong thinking. You don't have to work harder. You just have to become more aware of how to attract these things. So it's really, and I think, and Jamel mentioned this about perspective. It's really, it's a shift in your perspective from lack to abundance, from fear to purpose. It's inviting you to begin seeing money, and Jamel already mentioned this, as a servant, not a master. So you really have, again and again, I can't underscore this enough. You have deep reservoirs of talent and ability. And if you want to draw something else, you have to first see it in your mind. Everything, all these inventions were first a thought. And Jamel alluded to that earlier, right? Everything you see, that was a thought first. It was first a thought. but it had to be massaged, and it had to be, and people had to take action on it. And as Jamel said, his daughter's building things. If you look at kids, you could give them boxes and blocks and stuff, and they'll just start building stuff. They don't know the method. They don't know the methodology. But as they are building, whatever it is they're building, the methodology will unfold for them. And then all of a sudden, well, not all of a sudden, but when we become adults, then we're just, okay, we need to know the how first. We need to know the how. But there's Jamel's daughter in the background. She's just building stuff. It's falling down. Okay, she's going to build it another way. She sees it. So that methodology is unfolding before her as she puts it into action. She's not sitting there going, okay, I have these blocks, Dad. I want to build a tower, but I don't know how. But she's not saying that, like, show me how. No, she's doing it. And she's going to figure out ways that even Jamel didn't think of. So sorry I jumped in there ahead of you, Lou, so go ahead.
No, that was wonderful. Thank you. Jamel, when you were holding up the stick person and you were pointing out the 5 senses, and then you spoke about the mental faculties, the 6 mental faculties, I was thinking, oh my gosh, you were born rich. And when you was pointing out the different senses, I was like, what would someone, if I gave you $1 million, would you give up your eyesight? What about $10 million for your eyesight, or $5 million for your hearing, or your taste, your sense of taste or smell? What about your ability to think? What about your ability to speak? What about your fingers, your hands, your arms, your legs, your stomach? When you think about it, this is meaning you were born rich. There's no price tag that you can put on any of these things. You have these are all the tools for us to create. We are tapped into and an expression of universal intelligence. As Bob used to always say, there's only one mind. There's only one mind. And you are an expression of that mind in physical form, but you are the ocean in a drop. So when you think about it, we have the ability to think. It's the highest function we're capable of. What price tag would you put on that? Your emotions. Our emotions are a guidance system. It's telling us where we are, what are we believing, what feels right, what doesn't feel right. It's constantly, what price tag would you put on that? So now it just hit me, Jamel, like when you were pointing, I was like, oh my gosh, you were born rich. You have all the tools. You have the ability to communicate with another human being. Take the idea that you may have wandering in your mind, kind of explain it to someone else or draw it on paper. You have the ability to speak that idea, draw that idea. So now that other person gets the idea in his mind, and then you can start to go to work to start attracting the right people, the right resources, the right opportunities to make that idea come into physical form. You were born rich. You used all the tools you were given. All your 5 senses, your 6 mental faculties, your physical body. You were born rich. Boom. I just,
Right.
when you showed that, I was like, oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, that's what happens. Yeah. That's what happens here on Coach's Corner.
Yeah.
We can end it right there. Bye, everybody. But yeah, let's continue here. Let's continue. I know when I put a star next to something, it's gonna jump out the screen.
Oh yeah.
So let me share this particular section, and this will serve you very well. Okay. You are well aware there are literally thousands upon thousands of honest, good, hardworking people who labor diligently for their entire stay on this planet, yet never become wealthy. For those individuals, life is a constant grind from sun up until sundown. But the ideas presented on these pages have been put here in the hope they will jar your mind and inspire you to open it up to this new type of thinking.
God bless.
Bless you. So remember, thinking is one of the most important things for you to really, really take serious in your life. How are you thinking? Right? So consciousness is, and always has been, developed through thinking. And regardless of what your present situation in life may be, if you ever hope to improve it and truly become wealthy, as this book suggests you can, you must begin thinking of prosperity in your mind now. Not when you finish Coach's Corner or this book, not when you finish the chapter, not tomorrow, next week, next month, or next year. It must be done now. So thinking is the highest function right here. Thinking is the highest function of which a human being is capable. Yet, unfortunately, very few people actually think. They merely trick themselves into believing that because there is some mental activity taking place in their mind, they are thinking. But the truth is, most people are simply exercising the mental faculty called memory. They are playing old movies, so old pictures just keep flashing back on the screen of their mind. So I'll finish here. It is imperative that you begin this new way of thinking at this moment, because as you do, every fiber of your being will become filled with this new thought energy. Your body is comprised of millions upon millions of cells, and each one of them is influenced in its movement by thought impulses. I love that part. So I'll skip here. As you begin to hold thoughts of prosperity and begin thinking of yourself as a very wealthy, thinking of yourself as a very wealthy, prosperous individual who is surrounded by an ocean of thought energy swimming in a sea of plenty, your body and mind will instantly move into a prosperous vibration, and you will begin to attract, there's that word, just like a magnet, everything necessary for you to become wealthy. In short, you're a walking magnet, and it all starts with your thinking. So this is why you need to take what you're putting in your mind, your dream, your goal, your focus of that prosperity mindset extremely seriously. Because if you're not aware of what you're putting in there and what you're focusing on, you'll keep creating what you already have. We can talk forever about that, but that's a huge part.
Yeah. And so prosperity, the reason Bob says now, not later, not when you finish the book, because our power is in the now. The only time there is now. That's the only time that really exists. And even that it does. But everything is always happening now, not yesterday and not tomorrow. It's now. So being in the vibration of prosperity now means when you think about this. If we had you do an exercise and had you think about poverty, lack, scarcity, fear, how would you feel? You could feel it. Even just saying those words in my chest, I can, like, my chest is like literally tightening a bit when I just start to say those words. So I have just then lowered my vibration. But when I think abundance, prosperity, wealth, health, joy, happiness, my vibration raises. But I have to do it now, not later, not yesterday. It's now. And this is what Bob is speaking about, is the vibration of prosperity, because when you think thoughts, you will feel the vibration of those thoughts. Every thought has an underlying meaning and a belief. And this is why when we go over this, we're saying the same thing every week. Pretty much, right? Because it's all about how you're thinking, how you're feeling, the actions that you're taking, and the results that you're getting. But it's all really one creative process. It's really the same process over and over. Sometimes we say it in different ways, sometimes other people say it in different ways, but it's really the same message. There is one power. You are tapped into that one power. You are an expression of that power in physical form. And we all have the gifts and tools. We were born rich to be able to have that divine essence express itself through us. So this is really rich. I will say this knowledge is very rich, but we must apply it. Paul, you want to add to that?
Yeah, yeah. I want to extract something that Jamel said. Jamel said it's very important that he read out of here that mental activity does not constitute thinking, because people will challenge. Okay, most people don't think. Well, people say, well, everybody's thinking. Well, no, they're not.
Yeah.
They're operating as
Oh, here we go.
It'll kick back
in the
in.
past. Not being not there you are not being present, right? As Lou said, the only time is right now. That's I gave a talk last week, and ultimately, and I pulled this from Eckhart Tolle, the only thing that is real about one's journey in life is the step you're taking in this moment. That's all there ever is. And if you're just operating from what you thought of, what happened in the past, then more of the same is going to happen. And so there's nothing preventing you except your own thinking from thinking prosperity, from thinking about the things that you want, about the life that you want, about the money that you want, about the way you want to live your life. Start thinking about those things and start acting that way. And as Lou said, your whole body will shift because your frequency will shift because your thoughts affect every cell in your body. They affect every cell in your body. And you know that because when you think of something that really makes you happy, when you have a memory of something that really makes you happy, think about how it feels. Or if you're excited about something, you're going on a trip, think about how you feel. Like your whole vibration, it just feels differently. But it all starts with how you're thinking. So you have to really have a shift. And it starts right now, as Lou said, and then it's through repetition because you have to overcome that old paradigm. Those old memories of what happened and the things that you don't want. Well, stop thinking about the things that you don't want. Start thinking about the things that you do want. That's in the past. That's the sand in the hourglass is at the bottom. You can't change it. You can only do right now. Right now, it's the only way that you're going to change the future, and that you will change the past if you change your future. If you start changing right now, and you just have to shift, and people have a real challenge with that because of, well, this happened in the past, or that's what happened to me before. Okay, but forget about that. Learn from it. Take from it. Any kind of lesson, but start thinking about what you truly want and shift. You will shift your energy, but it's through repetition, because it was through repetition that you got to where you are right now. What your past thinking brought you to where you are right now. So if you want to be in a different place, start right now, as Lou said, not later, not in an hour, not tomorrow, not after you've done this or that. Right now, start thinking about that. You'll see when you make a habit of doing that, everything will start to change for you.
This is beautiful. This is beautiful. When Paul said start right now, the numbers were 4444. And we have contact us today. Let's talk about your next step in your life at the bottom of the screen. How many messages do you need to take action with this type of material. Okay. So that thinking stuff, we said a lot about thinking. Oh, there they go with positive thinking. Remember, that thinking stuff is one of the most potent forms of energy in the entire universe. It permeates and penetrates through anything, makes the laser look small. It's extremely powerful. And this is the richness you've been born with. Never take it for granted. Never. Because it says here, for mental awareness of prosperity always precedes wealth in your material world. So it has to start from within. As within, so without. The outside is a reflection of the inside. So if you are visualizing exactly what you desire every day in your account or the experiences, you know what it helps me a lot is what you'll do with the money that you desire. What will you do with it? And actually, what are you doing? Nothing's never created or destroyed. So you're bringing that experience to your present moment. And what you're doing, you are impressing your subconscious mind. The subconscious, it can only accept. It doesn't know what's make-believe or real. So you're tapping into your own richness. This is so good because this is why you were born rich. And hopefully this is giving you an understanding. So speaking of understanding, it says, this is the important part here. It's all important. We must therefore develop an understanding of how we have been conditioned. Number one, how have you been conditioned? Right? All the way to this point in your life, however young you are, you're in your 30s, your 20s, teens, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, etc. Doesn't matter, right? You've been conditioned to this point. How? By your environment, by what you're allowing into your consciousness and subconscious, even your upbringing as a child. That's a big part. So it's okay. You didn't choose to be conditioned. Oh, condition me this way. Oh, I chose to live here. I chose to be in this type of family environment. You didn't choose that. Well, they say spiritually you did, but you didn't consciously choose that, right? But now you have a choice when you understand this. That's why understanding and application creates the results you want. So number two, why we are getting the results we are getting. All right, this is you're getting an understanding. These are three things you need to really hammer home here. And number three, how we can change our way of thinking or our conditioning. So you have the option to change it. It's really simple. It's really simple. We try to make things harder than they are and overthink everything. We've been conditioned. Why are we getting the results we're getting? And how can we change it? And you're here with us live. A few of you watch replays. This is how you change it. Really, really simple. So should I move on or you had anything to share there? Anybody?
When you say move on, meaning to another...
Yeah, another section.
How many more paragraphs or pages? Just curious.
Well, there is let's see, one more section. There's real power within us. There's 1, 2. So there's 2 sections.
Okay. Yeah, I was just curious. I don't have the physical book in front of me, so I forgot. What did I want to mention while you were talking? Oh, so if you're here or if you're watching the replay, there's a reason why you're here. You're looking for some answers. That's why we tune into anything. We're looking for some answers. And I will tell you, I know myself and my colleagues here, we've been on many calls and we see what people type into the chats, their questions, etc. And it seems that everyone is searching for some answers. But the answers are really within you. This is what we've been trying to drive home. The answers are within you. What we do is help you understand how to guide your thinking and how to shift your perspective to allow intuition, right, to speak to you, because intuition's always trying to guide us, except for most of the time the line is busy because our mind is all over the place. I had a situation. I was listening to something and they said, first you have the whisper, then you get the nudge, then you get the shove, and then you get the sledgehammer. And I was thinking, I kind of got scammed ish, right? And at the very beginning, I was like, oh, this doesn't feel right. But I was very familiar with who the company I was talking to, and they sounded like the real deal. And they were walking me through these steps. And the more I was listening, the more that inner voice was getting louder and louder. And then it got to a point where it was really the sledgehammer. And I just said, this doesn't feel right. And I just X'd out. But this is the point, that was such a big lesson for me to learn, because I actually was experiencing it while I was going through it. I had that little feeling, and then it got stronger, and then it got stronger, and then I really felt it. And then I just closed out, I shut my computer down, etc. But that was such a great example. Like, that will stay with me forever, because I remembered, I was like, oh my gosh, that first feeling was there. So this is what what we help people understand. But it takes a new level of awareness, because it's our own, as we call, stinking thinking at times, that got us to where we are, which is fine. I mean, everything is what it is. But it takes a new perspective, just like someone, holding out a hand to say, come on, I've been there. I'm going to help you get clarity, help you understand. Just by shifting your perspective, you will start to see even your past. If you keep reliving it, you're going to realize you've already paid the price for that. You've already experienced it, but you're choosing to bring it into your present moment now. You're choosing to do that. But when you shift your perspective on all your past experiences, whether you deem them that they served you well, they didn't, so you're going to see the lesson in everything. And when you can shift your perspective, it opens up this new, it takes off like the veil and opens up a new door for opportunity and blessings and abundance and prosperity to come in, because you're starting to understand, oh my gosh, now I understand why I am the highest form of creation. Now I understand that I am a drop. I am the ocean in a drop. I'm understanding that now. And so many new doors will open up for you when you start to get that clarity and understand the greatness within you. And that's what we're here to help you do. Someone helped us, and there's people that still continue to help us, because there's always a new level of awareness. So if you're here, we're here to help you. Bada boom.
Well said, Lou. Well said. So yeah, there's a section a little bit ahead, and there's, like Lou said, there's real power within you, and there's a statement in there, and it says that any idea, plan, or purpose may be planted in the subconscious mind by repetition of thought, empowered by faith and expectancy. By faith and expectancy. So you have to expect it. You have to plant it in your mind, and you have to believe it. Believe it in yourself. And then further down, it says, lack and limitation can only exist when you make room for them in your mind. Ooh. So when those things those negative thoughts come in, just override them with your new thinking. And that requires being aware of what you're thinking, and then just, okay, cancel that negative thought, cancel that thought of lack, and override it with your new empowering thoughts. And you just have to do that through repetition. And at first you're going, okay, that sounds crazy. But that didn't happen in the past for me. I know, I get it. I was there too. But you have to really just override those thoughts and introduce a new way of thinking for yourself. Jamel.
Yeah, this is so good. I was trying to wrap this up in part 3. We'll talk and discuss if we continue. But, at this point, we shared so much value here. And, there's more jumping out at me as I see my little highlights here. And to tie on what Paul was sharing, it says this book was written in the sincere hope that it would lead you to the many discoveries that lie within you by the repetition of these prosperity ideas. You must begin to see money as an obedient, diligent servant that you can employ to earn more money, and that you can use to provide services far beyond the service that you could ever physically provide. So it is necessary that you feel comfortable when you talk about money, because you have truly been born rich. So you have all the mental tools necessary to attract the thoughts you are surrounded by, to create the consciousness that you must create in order for you to have the wealth you choose to have. So lack and limitation can only exist when we make room for them in our minds, like Paul mentioned here. But prosperity consciousness knows no lack or no limitation. Resolve to completely remove the lid from your marvelous mind. You have to let go a lot of this conditioning to have room for the higher version of yourself with the money you desire. So remove the lid from your marvelous mind with respect to your own earning ability, and understand that the wealth you're seeking is and always has been seeking you in return. So open wide the doors of your conscious mind, not tomorrow, not yesterday, not after this, right now, and begin to receive it. So remember, the present is a present. Make sure you reach out to one of us to tap in with your abundant mindset, and also to apply this. Hopefully you got a better understanding of what you were born rich, and we went into detail, about different things, how to connect with your higher self and your greatness and your higher potential. And nothing happens until you take an action. And David mentions here in his comment, the limitations are also you. You are the problem and the solution, right? Or the challenge and the solution. So taking an action outside your comfort zone is essential. Even being comfortable about talking about money. You're the wealth, actually. And that's so special, because that's the realization you kind of get after talking about this. You are absolutely you're the gift.
Yeah.
But everything else will reflect what you have from within. So, yeah, awesome call. Anybody else wanted to share anything before we leave here for next Sunday?
No, I think I'm good. I just feel so blessed to be here.
I'll share one thing.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah, so at the very end of the chapter, right, there's a little sort of poem, and I love it, right? It says, "The good life is expensive. There's another way to live that doesn't cost much, but it isn't any good."
So true.
I was going to share that for part 3, Paul.
Oh, wah, wah.
I mean, part 4.
Part 17.
Well, either way, you know.
But it's so true, right? I mean,
It's worth repeating.
if we're going to get back to
It's worth repeating anyway.
if we're going to get back to like physical money, it takes money to live the life, and then but you get to decide. You get to decide. And that's what the next chapter will be whenever if we get to it. What is enough? But you get to decide. But it does take money. And money, I think because most of us were raised not to speak about it. And I'm very comfortable now speaking about it. So it's really funny how shifting your perspective about it makes you feel more comfortable. It's a good thing.
Yeah, it's a great thing.
It's a great thing.
Yeah. When you're becoming comfortable with something you were once uncomfortable with,
Yeah,
that's growth.
absolutely.
And there's always something to be uncomfortable with. There's more growth. That's the opportunity, right? Don't see it as a negative thing. It's an
That's right.
opportunity to become more.
That's
Be
right.
more, do more, have more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Always. So hopefully this helped you feel more comfortable about money and understand money and yourself at a higher level. All right, everybody. We'll see you next Sunday. We'll decide if we'll continue this chapter. I want to, but I always, we have to have a discussion. There's only 3 pages left. I have like a bunch of stars and circles.
Okay. Well, it looks like there'll be a part 4. There'll be a part 4.
But most importantly, reach out to one of us. I have some time today if you want to set up a call. And you know what? Intuition told me something. Any of you have any launches going on this month?
I have been waiting to reveal mine. I am working on remember, release, and reveal. I haven't put a date on that yet, so thank you very much, Jamel.
Okay.
That's what I'm going to be working on today, but I will announce it once I've made the decision.
You're
But I have the title and the outline for it.
Awesome. Paul, do you have anything coming up?
I don't have one this month, but I'm going to have one in July.
Okay,
More
there we go.
details to follow.
All right. June 15th for me, 9 a.m. Eastern. So just message me on whatever platform you're on for access for that.
What's the name of it?
It's time.
It's time. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. Speaking of time, you had an extra 3 minutes of us. So we'll see you next time on Coach's Corner next Sunday.
Bye, everyone. Thank you, everybody. And have a beautiful day.
Bye.
God bless.